Say rolling around, sitting on doves, can't lie, I was high on shrubs.
Southern Topical back with another video. I'm Strange Wang. He is Nate. Today we're doing a ranking video of who Wes Anderson, because we finally both watched The French Dispatch. He's one of my favorite directors. We really wanted to do this video, and now we can finally do it. So he's going to tell you how that works, how we do our rankings, and about our social media and where you can find it, you glorious people.
If you open that description box below, you'll find links to our social media accounts. So go and give us a follow on those. We also have links to our Coffee account and our Patreon account. So if you'd like to help our channel grow financially, which we would appreciate, those are there. If not, subscribing is free. So please do that right now. If you don't know how we do these top 10 style videos, he's going to breeze through his 10 through 6, maybe say a few things if he wants to. I'll breeze through my 10 through 6, maybe say a few things if I want to. And then we'll start alternating 5-4, 5-4, 3-2, 3-2 to trade off number ones. And then we'll take a brief break and we'll smash our list together to come up with the channel's ultimate Wes Anderson ranking.
So my number 10, bottom of the barrel, The French Dispatch. Me personally, I thought it was the first time the criticism of Wes Anderson's style over substance was true, because I didn't feel much substance, if any, from this film, unfortunately. But he says I need to watch it again, so I'll watch it again. And maybe 5 years from now, when he puts out 2 more movies, we can do it again, and maybe it will change. Who knows? Next is going to be Bottle Rocket. It's a decent directorial debut. You don't really get the Wes Anderson I love, because he's learning his style, and you can see that in the film. Decent little flick, nonetheless. Life Aquatic. It's cool. They wear Adidas's. Next is going to be Isle of Dogs to wrap it up for me, and simply because I hate dogs. I got dog phobia. There's a real name for it. I got dog phobia, whatever. I don't know. You're smarter than I am, probably. You know what it is. I got dog phobia. I don't like dogs. I hate dogs. And this movie made me actually care for dogs and these characters, and it was a fun little quirky story, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. So my number 10, also The French Dispatch. I don't feel nearly the way you feel about it. I love that movie. I like, nothing about it made me like cry, but like I definitely felt emotional hits from 2 of the stories at least. So I don't think, when I watch an Wes Anderson movie, the phrase style over substance will never apply to me.
Why not?
Because his style is just so appealing to me. I wouldn't care if he made a movie literally just for the style, because I would be just so stimulated and interested watching it. I still think French Dispatch has plenty of substance. That being said, like, I think it being an anthology and not having like a fully fleshed out stories and everything in it, I loved it. It just, like, what it was just gave me a nice little hit of Wes Anderson until I get his next full movie. But I still liked it a lot. Number 9 is also Bottle Rocket. So the bottom 2 are going to be real easy for the list. Same reasons, good movie. He's just not Wes Anderson yet.
That's fair.
Number 8 for me is going to be Isle of Dogs. I like his 2 stop motion animated features. I love them both a lot. I think this one definitely has a tough time holding up against Fantastic Mr. Fox, which obviously we'll talk about later. So I didn't feel like quite the level of investment for the characters that I wanted to, but like it still has a lot of substance. Still definitely made me like care about the characters and get invested in everything like that. Number 7 for me, which I am surprised, and I understand why you're going to tell me that it is. Still surprised I have it lower on my list than you do, is going to be the Darjeeling Limited. It still doesn't feel as much like a Wes Anderson movie as a lot of other Wes Anderson movies do. There aren't as many of the like quirky like claymation inserts or like paper animated little like things that he does in there. And it's like very sweet. We're constantly on the move, so it doesn't really have that dollhouse feel that a lot of his other movies do. So the only reason it's lower on my list, I still love it. I adore this movie. It just doesn't feel as much like a Wes Anderson movie as most of his other movies do.
I guess.
And then number 6 for me was Life Aquatic. Like, Wes Anderson doing Wes Anderson shit. There just isn't as much of like an emotional hit in Life Aquatic as of the movies that are going to be above it for me have.
You do 5 movies or 4 movies?
Huh? That was my 10 through 6. Did you miss one? You got a number shit, dog.
I did miss my 6.
Oh.
Stupid.
Well, what was your 6?
Because in my head, you take the bottom half and minus it by 4, that's 6, right? That's what I was going.
Well, there's 10 movies.
My number,
so half of 10.
My number 6 is the Darjeeling Limited.
Okay.
Because the short film in it, it's fire. It sets it up. The short film's honestly better than the movie is, but I do like the colors of India and these white people in India. I like even more now that we react to Indian trailers because I feel like the 3 brothers, and we kind of argue like the 3 brothers. So I kind of enjoy this movie more now than I used to, which is why it's got the bump. But that was my 6. So same 5 movies. I think that's fair. I think every list is going to be the same 5 movies unless something just hits you really hard.
Yeah.
This is going to be controversial for him, I know. The Grand Budapest Hotel. I love this movie. It's got mystery.
That's your number 5?
Yeah.
That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
See, I knew it.
Okay, man. Arnold.
I like this movie a lot. You got some shysters, you got some crime, you got some fucking great quirky characters, some beautiful scenery. Out of the movies I have above it, it's the one I watched the least of. So, because of that, I had to put it at that number 5 spot. My number 4, for me, it's going to be Rushmore. To me, that's just more of a more personal movie. To me, in my taste of cinema, of the fucking kid falling in love with the MILF.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
Bill Murray also falling in love with the same lady. I love triangles in movies. I just watched Bridget Jones' Diary. You ever seen that movie?
Mm-hmm.
Great movie. I was like, man, like, never mind. Anyways, but yeah, Rushmore is more personal to me. I found that movie hilarious. The kid, he's kind of relatable. That was like me in high school. So because of that, I was like, man, I wish I had this movie in high school. I would have learned a lot of shit that I should have learned later before. I probably would have been better off. But what can you do?
What can you do? My number 5 is going to be Fantastic Mr. Fox. That's a really good movie.
It's excellent.
His animated stuff just doesn't hit me quite as much as his real life stuff does. When I watch Fantastic Mr. Fox, the story feels like a little rushed for me. And I feel like he was just kind of nailing down like some of the dialogue stuff. Like I love how fast paced and witty the dialogue is in Wes Anderson movies. This one, it's like they picked up the tempo and they're just rapid firing. And I almost feel like it was like they were trying to keep it, because it's a very short movie. Like It's only like, I don't think it's even 90 minutes. Like it's very short. So it's like the dialogue definitely lends to that. Which not every movie needs to be 90 minutes. So I think that's a good call. But yeah, I had a hard time, or I not even had a hard time. I don't think that the intention was for you to get invested in these characters as much as it was for his other movies. So mission accomplished. That just investment part is just really important to me.
Well, that sounds reasonable.
And then my number 4 is also Rushmore. Wes Anderson, we'll probably say this again by the time we're done with this. He's just really good at making movies about shitty people and making you interested and care about them and want to see them get better and want to see what they do end up or not end up learning from his movies. So, yeah, like getting to see that young little Schwartzman in there doing his thing, it is endearing. And it's annoying at times because it's just like, God, just get your shit together, man. But it's still a good movie.
Very good movie. Number 3 is going to be Moonrise Kingdom. Great movie, fun, quirky. Just the premise of the 2 young kids coming together, learning what love is from the broken homes, finding someone you can not just like love, but just like connect to. Mm-hmm. Like the first person they really, really, really connected to. Mm-hmm. So great coming of age story. I love that. Just like the time period and just like the location and everything just adds to the Wes Anderson-esque, that like this is still in our world, but it's through his eyes.
Yeah.
And he has a very strong like voice in this movie, and I think that's why I love it so much.
Yeah.
Because like it's still in our world. Like I can go to a lighthouse and it's gonna look pretty damn similar most times. But I'm not gonna see it like he sees it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a beautiful thing to add in cinema.
Yeah.
My number 2 is going to be Fantastic Mr. Fox. This might possibly be my favorite animated movie of all time. If we did a top, it would be kind of hard to do because there's different emotions when it comes to this word. But if we made a top 5 most fun movies of all time, it would be a very odd list because it would be like Fantastic Mr. Fox, The Predator. It'd be weird, you know? I have so much fun with this movie that I'm constantly wanting to get back on. The voice cast is amazing. He's a shyster fox. And it's such a simple, simplistic story that I think that people, because we move so quickly, they have such a simplistic story. It adds it more fun because, like, oh my goodness, why hasn't anyone else thought about this? But it's so simple. And the stop motion animations just adds to the flavor of the film and his directorial voice. Like you said, the fast dialogue. I love old movies. I love the fast dialogue. I love the dialogue in this movie. Everything I love in movies is in this movie, minus like the heartfelt relatability. But I'm still invested in these characters, and I'm still have tension because I want them to survive. Because he does build tension really well for an animated movie, and I'm still on the edge of my seat hoping these characters live. And I saw the behind the scenes of like when they was doing the voice recordings and everything.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
I bet.
I was smiling.
Yeah.
Just to like see like fucking Danny Ocean actually eating bread like that to get the exact sound for him eating bread. One of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life.
That sounds about right.
I love this movie.
Yeah. So my number 3, also Moonrise Kingdom.
This could be fun.
My favorite coming of age movie. It makes I cry at this movie. I like almost every time. I agree with everything that you said. He absolutely has a voice in this movie. The way that he just sees this, it's like Anderson creates movies almost how he wishes the world was. And it's not, but I would almost rather live in like the Wes Anderson world than the real one sometimes. And I think that's why I love his movies so much, because not only are they incredibly they're not just artistically brilliant with incredibly compelling, interesting characters with excellent stories. It's like it also offers that escapism that sometimes you only get from just like your generic CGI bullshit. But yeah, Moonrise Kingdom, these two kids, their lives suck and they find each other and like it makes their lives better. And I think that's beautiful. So it's a wonderful story about like connection and young love. And I just can't, I literally cannot get enough of that movie. My number 2 is the Royal Tenenbaums. This movie's phenomenal. Like every single character in this movie is so like, so many movies suffer from having too many characters and not being able to flesh them out. This is not one of them. There are a lot of characters in this movie, and you get the perfect amount of backstory for each and every one of them without it making it feel like the movie is too long. They are also interesting. They're also different and quirky. And then just watching this completely fractured and damaged family like just slowly start to like repair itself and weave itself back together, even though that means things are not going to look like they looked before. You mentioned love triangles. Great love triangle in this movie with Bill Murray and Gwyneth Paltrow and
Wow.
Luke Wilson. It's Luke Wilson. Owen's
He's in there too.
Well, yeah, I guess it's a love square.
Yeah.
Or it's one of those things.
They fucking.
Yeah, it's true. Forgot about that.
A lot of fucking in that movie.
But
There's
yeah.
2 love triangles. Well, there's a love square, and then you got a love triangle with old Royal. He's trying to get back with Mrs. Adams.
Angelica Houston.
Yeah, but Danny Glover, he's showing her that lethal weapon, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. And I love that because literally the only 2 characters in this movie, like excluding the kids, the only 2 characters in this movie that aren't shitty people are Angelica Houston and Danny Glover. And like I also love that they're just the ones that end up together. And like, this is a great movie. Also, R.I.P. to the dog.
I got dog phobia. Fuck that dog. Anyways, that was my number one as well, so I'm gonna be brief. I'm gonna be brief like a pair of boxers, you know what I'm saying? So, top 10 favorite comedies of all time for me personally. I think if you do a top 25 greatest comedies of all time, it's on the outside of that top 10, just because the audience for this is probably a little bit smaller than your average audience goer. Phenomenal film. That's my number one.
So my number one is the Royal, or not the Royal Tenenbaums. My number one is the Grand Budapest Hotel. I think this is easily Wes Anderson's best movie in terms of him nailing down his style, nailing down his character development, nailing down his dialogue. It is like the complete package. So like the Wes Andersonisms is a 10 out of 10 in this movie. The color palette in it, the score in it, 10 out of 10 in this movie. It's absolutely phenomenal. But for me, it's like the relationships that exist within it between Zero and Agatha, Zero and Gustav, Gustav and his cornucopia of old women that he sleeps with. But on top of all that, you also get, like, it's essentially a heist movie. Like, you get some solid prison scenes. You get all this stuff. But then you just go back to the fact that this really is just an entire story being told to Jude Law by an older Zero, just remembering like all these wonderful moments of his life and watching like how hard it is for him to go back and talk about Agatha. It took a 10 out of 10 story and was like, here's a 0.5, like 10.5 out of 10. I fucking love this movie. I also think it's his most accessible movie, which I don't give a shit about that. That wouldn't like change where it is in my rankings or not. But it's my favorite Wes Anderson movie to show people because I think it's the easiest to like. A lot of people who like don't normally watch this kind of stuff, they'll watch a Wes Anderson movie and be like, I just like felt so artsy and like, well, like, you know, whatever, dude. But show someone Grand Budapest first, and it just opens the door to everything that is Wes Anderson. It's like his gatekeeping movie, and I love it. It's the best.
We are going to combine these and be back soon. We combined our list together. Similarly to that. And we have the all-time greatest, most correctness Wes Anderson ranking to date. So I'm going to do 10 through 6. I'm going to include the 6 this time. At number 10, The French Dispatch. Number 9, Bottle Rocket. Number 8, Isle of Dogs. Number 7, Life Aquatic. The story is Steve Zissou, is that right? The full title? The Life and Times.
It's The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou.
Yeah, there you go. Number 6, The Darjeeling Limited.
Number 5 is Rushmore. Number 4, Fantastic Mr. Fox. Number 3, The Grand Budapest Hotel. Number 2, Moonrise Kingdom. And number 1, The Royal Tenenbaums.
And that is the all-time greatest Wes Anderson ranking list of all time. He forced me to put Grand Budapest at number 3, or he said he would stab my tires. I just bought those tires. So I don't want flat tires when I leave. So Grand Budapest number 3. Grain of salt. But if you don't agree, he'll stab your fucking tires apparently. Tell us your thoughts and your list down below in the comment section. Scroll back up, hit the like button, share the video. And subscribe.
It's not a game, it's a